Hello everybody, Ron, aka Daddy Geek, here with another Disney Infinity 2.0 Toy Box tutorial, and in this video we are going to cover Townspeople. This will be part one of a three-part series dealing with NPCs or non-playable characters. The first video is, of course, like I just said, Townspeople. Part two will be sidekicks, and in part three we're going to mess around with enemies. In each video I'll go over their logic, their behavior, the way they interact with the player and the environment, and ways you can use that for everything from challenges and games to just general interaction with your world. As you can see, we got several examples set up around this toy box here. The reason why I have these three NPCs behind us, these three volunteers in our little makeshift lab experiment here that Captain Marvel is trying her best to get out of. I feel like we should have a sign that says, "Please do not bang on the glass." Looks like a really bad exhibit. I have these three back here simply because I wanted to address the differences between what makes a town person an actual town person and compare them to other NPCs. Townspeople can accept direct logic commands and behavior commands. Compare that to either the bear, who is a critter, or Captain Marvel, who is a cast member, and they do not have direct logic or behavior commands. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Let's get inside our little cage here. And,
Greetings, Captain Marvel.
And as Thor gives Captain Marvel a greeting, that reminds me of something else I should go over. Even though cast members don't have the logic commands and behavior commands of townspeople like Rapunzel over there, they will spark a small little conversation piece with your player. Like Thor knows that that's Captain Marvel, and he'll give her a greeting. He'll say appropriate sayings depending on what cast member is there. So if we were to take her out and replace her with Sif, that is Lady Sif, not Sif as in Sith from Star Wars, but Sif as in Lady Sif. We're not in Disney Infinity 3.0 yet. He will know which cast member is there and make the appropriate comments. So that's just something to be aware of. Anyway, let's bring up her properties and you'll see what I mean. She has, right away you can tell she has no logic connection. You don't see an option for new logic connection. So she cannot be given a direct logic command. So just be aware of that. She can do a new actor connection. We can connect her to another actor. She has a team connection. And under properties, there's no behavior. All we can do is assign her to a team. So we can, put her on the blue, orange, green, or purple team. And that's it. There's no other direct logic connection. Same thing with the bear here. You bring up this critter, and you'll see that he has, again, an actor connection, team connection, and under properties, we can assign him a team. That is it. There's not any other type of logic or behavior commands we can, unfortunately, give these type of NPCs. Now, if we compare that to Rapunzel, who is standing over in the corner, when we bring her up, right away, the very first thing you'll notice is she has a new logic connection. So we can give her a direct logic connection to where she can affect other logic toys, and the other logic toys can directly affect her. We can actually make those connections. She also has a new actor connection, new team connection, and if you go under properties, here's a big improvement from 1.0 to 2.0, and that is the behavior. We can now give a townsperson, she's happy, townsperson direct behavior commands. So for example, right now she's set at default none and she is wandering off there. By default, their behavior is none and they will just wander aimlessly around. So be aware of that if you have townspeople in your toy boxes and you don't have them assigned behaviors, they can and will trigger pressure plates, trigger areas, traps, if you do not have those logic toys set to player only. So just be aware of that. But right now we're going to give her a different behavior. We're going to tell her to stand still. And that was a perfect example. As she walked by us, we gave her the behavior command of standing still, and now she will stand still. Your townspeople will stand still until they are either giving another command or they're, as you can see, they're affected by physics or their logic is broken. And what I mean by that is if they take enough abuse, if she's moved around enough, or if certain conditions present themselves, her logic will become broken and she will go back to her default behavior of just wandering around. And I'm going to show you a perfect example of that in a few seconds here. Now let's bring up, oh, we already brought up Rapunzel. So now let's actually get moving with the rest of the examples. Just want to do, again, go over the difference between NPCs and actual townspeople. So when you go to build your toy box, you can plan in advance. Alright, so let's go over here, and we have Nani, and she is standing here waiting patiently for us to give her a command. We already have her set to standing still, the same thing with Lilo and the Mad Hatter back there. What we're going to do is we're going to use this trigger area to tell Nani to do a little cheer when the player gets close enough. So we're going to do new logic connection, entered, player, any, and then we are going to target her, and a lot of times you cannot target through the trigger area, so we'll go behind. And we're going to tell her to, you'll see you have a few options, play looped, play once, follow, and stop following. Play looped will tell her to do that particular behavior constantly. She'll just continuously do that over and over and over again. Play once, she will attempt that behavior one time and then go back to her default behavior. Follow, she will follow the player that triggered that triggered her. And also stop following is the exact opposite. If you select that, she will stop following you. So we're going to do play once, and we are going to do cheer. Now there's something I want you to notice here. Once we go in here and Nani does her cheer, pay attention to what happens after she completes her cheer. So she does a little cheer, she does a little dance, and now watch. She will wander off. And that's something to also be aware of. When you give a townsperson the command of stand still, if you give them a new behavior, after they complete that behavior, they will start to go back to their default behavior of none and wander around. So just be aware of that. Like now she just keep wandering around until we give her an actual another command. And speaking of that, we are going to get her to go back to standing still. We'll go under properties, we'll tell her to stand still again. And she'll just stand there. I want to show you another way that their logic can be broken. And I'm just showing you this not to point out any type of glitches or bugs. This is just so you know for your own reference that this can happen. So when you're building your toy boxes, you can hopefully prevent this. We're going to put her right on the edge of this trigger area. Okay, now watch what happens if I get rid of this trigger area. If I can target it, that is. Uh-oh. Yeah, see, I caused it to. I might have caused it to bug out here. Let's see. We'll go into Spark mode. And watch what happens when I get rid of this trigger area. We'll exit Spark mode. There she goes. She's starting to wander off. Even though we told her to stand still, as soon as we deleted or if we would have moved that trigger area, she goes back to her default. Her logic is broken, and she goes back to her default of wandering around. So that's just something to be aware of. So you don't make this entire toy box, have everything set, and then you realize, oh, I need to just move this trigger area, and you move it, and then all of a sudden your NPC takes off on you. So just be aware of that. It might save you some time and some problems later on. Now, there is a way that we can get around having our townspeople go from standing still to doing a new logic, new behavior command, and then going back to standing still. And I'm going to show you that right now. So just like Nani, we're going to tell Lilo to do a cheer. So we're going to do new logic connection, enter, player, any. Apparently Nani wants to come and watch. And we're going to go tell Lilo to do a little cheer. Play once, and cheer. Now, we're going to make another logic connection to tell her to go back to standing still when she's done her cheer. I'm going to use a time delayer because I like time delayers because you can precisely control how long of a gap there is between commands. You can also use the text tool here if you wanted to. You can use the text creator and have it to, after a specific line was dismissed, tell her to go back to standing still. But I like the time delayer just because they're very easy to use and they also give you much more control. And that's just my opinion. Feel free to mess with other logic toys to try to get the same effect. But anyway, let's do that. What we're going to do is we're going to do a new logic connection from the trigger area. Same thing, player, any, and we're going to tell the time delayer to start its delay. It's kind of like a countdown clock. So we're going to tell it start delay. We're going to go into properties, and we are going to adjust it down to 1 second. And then we're going to give that a new logic connection. delay completed. So once that 1 second countdown is over, we're going to tell Lilo to go back to standing still. So we'll do play looped, because that's where you'll find standing still when you're trying to connect it from another logic toy. We're going to tell it stand still, and she will go back to standing still. So now she should do a cheer, and then she should go back to standing still. And there's her little cheer, and she's back to standing still. Now, did you notice, though, that she did not do her entire cheer like Nani did? And that is because the time delayer cut her off. If you're using a time delayer, you're going to have to experiment a little bit to know how long of a delay to give it. Like, for example, I know that cheer command lasts approximately 2 seconds, so I'm going to change this under properties and give it a 2-second delay. And now watch the difference when I have Lilo do a cheer. So she'll do a cheer, and now she's back to standing still. It looks a little bit more natural. You can adjust the time delay to whatever you want, but I know that the cheer lasts about 2 to 3 seconds, so I usually do a 2-second delay, and it looks pretty natural. She did a little cheer, and she went back to standing still, and now she will just stay there, again, until we give her another command or her logic is broken. So that's one way to do it. Here's another really fun thing we can do with townspeople, and that is have them follow us, and they can basically be our little companion. So we're going to do new logic connection, enter player any, and we're going to tell the Mad Hatter here to follow us around, and we're going to do follow. So now when we enter that trigger area, the Mad Hatter will become our little friend. He'll follow us around. You can assign it directly to a player, especially if you have a say you set up a game of hide and seek and you want specific players to be followed by specific townspeople. You can set it up that way. We did player any just for this demonstration, for this video purposes. So now when I enter this trigger area, as you can see, the Mad Hatter, he is going to follow us around. And their pathing is pretty good. They will follow you through most terrain. You can adjust your height, and you can fall down, you can go up real high. They will get to you. If they can't get there physically, like by hopping or jumping or whatever, they will just teleport to you. The only thing is they will not follow you through toy box doors. And you're going to see that in a little bit when we go through that door over there into an interior. They will not follow you through toy box doors, but other than that, they will do their very best to stay with you. Alright, so let's take the Mad Hatter over here, and I want to show you a way we can have them interact with the world and be a little bit more creative. We have a hallway here with a laser fence. Now we could obviously dodge this laser fence, just wait for it and walk through it. But why do that when we can have our little friend here do the work for us? What we're going to do is we're going to toss the Mad Hatter into this toy box door, which that's what this little guy is here over right here. We're going to toss him in, and he's basically going to go in there, mess around with some stuff, and he's going to deactivate the laser. We can have this set up to look like, you know, we threw him through like a ventilation shaft, and he went through there and he deactivated the laser for us. These things are called toy box doors. I should say not toy box doors, I'm sorry. These are called townspeople doors, and they're a lot of fun. I'm not going to go through every single property right now with this. I'm going to save that for the sidekick tutorial. So if you're looking for all the details about townspeople door, check that video out. But we're going to go through some real quick basics here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new logic connection from this town person door, and we're going to tell it to do normal response return. And what that means is that is when the townsperson enters the townsperson door, finishes the little animation, and pops back up, and the normal response is the desired response, is another way to say that. And we're going to tell it that when that happens to deactivate the laser, and we're going to tell it to turn off. So now when we toss him in, he's going to deactivate the laser. Again, I'll get much more into what normal response return means and all the other options that are available for a townsperson door, but I'm going to save that for another video. Real quickly, we're going to go under properties, and we're going to tell it to not remove the townsperson upon entry. If you leave it at the default of on when we toss the Mad Hatter in there, he'll be taken out of the game. That's great when you're trying to do like a town person collection challenge, but for now we want him back because we got other plans for him. So let's bring him back. And now let's test it out. We'll pick him up. We'll toss him through the door, and he'll give us a nice little. He'll give us a nice little. What do you want to call it there? A little goofing around. You can hear him in there. Sometimes you'll hear him get in a fight with a cat. It's pretty comical. And as you see, he deactivated the laser for us. Now, we're going to go down this hallway and see what other trouble we can get ourselves into. So let's go down here. Uh-oh. No! And we're falling. And that was an example of a trap. And here we are, and we are now pitch black. And as you can see, our little Mad Hatter, our little townsperson, he followed us down here. That was just a quick example of a trap. I'm going to do an entire video on effects and traps, and how you can make it look like this. As you can see, it looks like we fell down kind of into a dungeon. It's pitch black. But I'll save that. Here's a nice little tease for you for another video. But here I want to demonstrate another thing we can do with townsperson. Oh, there's a secret here, and he used his magic or his trickster ability to get rid of the wall for us and give us a way out of here. And that was just a simple connection to a text toy and to a replayer. I've already done text toys and replayers, touched on them in other videos, but it was just another way you can show that we had fun. We used the text creator and we used the banner as the text display. You can use the, I could have connected it to the townsperson here, to Mad Hatter, but since it's dark, it's harder to see, and that banner stands out more. Alright, enough battling. Let's get out of here and get back up to the top. And here's another demonstration. They will follow you through teleporters, which is awesome. And this guy is called Pitch Black, and as you can see, it makes the world very dark, but it really highlights the anything that has a light source or a glow effect. So let's turn this back. Let's get this back to what we had so we can see better. And there you go. That was another example of how you can have fun with townsperson. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I had I lost connection to our Infinity base, so I made a real quick rough cut there. We were about to go ahead and show you what else we can do with townspeople, and that is do a townsperson collection challenge. So we're going to set that up real fast, and we're going to show you how that works. We have a challenge marker out here, a challenge maker, I should say. I call it a marker, but challenge maker. And we're going to do a quick logic connection, and we're going to do started, and we're going to target a counter, and we're going to tell it to reset. And we're going to do the same type of connection, but when game is ended. So new logic connection, game ended, counter, and we're going to tell it to reset. We're doing this. This is a good idea to do as your first logic connections when you're making a townsperson type collection, or really using any kind of challenge where you're using the counter, and that is to make it reset when you start the challenge and make it reset when you complete the challenge. That way, if you want to have the challenge activated multiple times, you always get reset back to 0. And then we just need to make a few other quick connections here. We're going to connect this townsperson door. New logic connection, townsperson thrown in. We're going to increase, we're going to give it an increment of 1. And the same thing with the collection pen. This is a townsperson collection pen. We're going to do new logic connection, and we're going to do townsperson entered. And we're going to do an increment by 1. And then we need to finish our logic connections and tell this to do new logic connection, target reached, complete the game. Go into properties real fast, and we'll make sure it's set to 2. Reset is 0, and we're fine. We're good. One reason why I put this out here is because I wanted to show you. You can use a variety of things for townsperson collection. You can use the townsperson door. You can use the collection pen. You can find different ways to make this like type of hide-and-seek game, collection game, and you can have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to keep my Mad Hatter with me, so we're just going to spawn 2 quick townspersons here. We'll do, you know what? We'll do Mickey, and we'll do Maleficent. And now we're going to go ahead and start this challenge. So let's jump on here. We'll start the challenge. And this is another example of how quickly you can set up a challenge. It really is this simple. Now we need to grab ourselves some townspeople. We'll throw her in here. That'll give us our 1. We'll grab Mickey and we'll toss him in the townsperson door. And there we go. So that's just a quick example of a way you can use townspeople for your actual challenges and games. Alright, so now we have the Mad Hatter still following us. And as you can see, that's another really good example. Your townsperson will follow you even when you activate and complete challenges. So that's another nice little feature. Now, this is where they will not follow you. We're going to go inside the interior here. We're going to go through a toy box door. Maybe. There we go. Now, this is where you will not have the townsperson follow you. There are ways that we can get around this. We can, once you enter a new level, whether it be interior or not, we can set up level start markers, logic gates, satellites, satellite receivers, in order to spawn our friend back with us. But by default, you can see we do not get him to follow us in here. But that's okay, because we're going to show you another example of a way you can have townspersons follow and interact with the environment inside and interior. We decorated this interior for the Seven Dwarfs Cottage just to give it a little different look. And we got Carl Fredrickson here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a logic connection from the actual room, but we'll wait on that. What we have here is we have a trigger area, we have a locked door, and we have a cauldron. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Carl Fredrickson follow us in here. He is going to walk up to that cauldron, interact with it, and that interaction will unlock that door for us. So what we need to do is, let's get rid of this trigger area. It's in our way. We are going to tell the cauldron to unlock the door when it's interactive with. So we're going to do new logic connection, admire start. We're going to target, you don't target the door, you target the room. And you're going to tell it door A unlock. So as soon as he starts to admire that cauldron, he's going to unlock that door. Now, you can't directly make townspeople interact with the different environments inside of the interior, short of tossing them directly on it and hoping that they actually will interact with it. But there's a way we can almost force it, and it works 99% of the time. So I'm going to show you how we do that. We have once again, we have my trusty old time delayer over there. And only other thing we need is we need a trigger area. So let's get into our logic toys and let's toss that trigger area back down. We're going to stick it right about here. And the only change we're going to make to it is we're going to resize it just a little bit. We're going to push it back some. I think that should do. I'll go back just a little bit more. That way we're a little bit closer to the cauldron when this happens. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make a couple logic connections here. First one we're going to make is we're going to have a new logic connection, entered, player, any, and we're going to tell it to tell Carl Fredrickson to stop following us. There we go. And so now once we do that, he will stop following. Now we're going to do, just like we did with Lilo, we're going to do a time delay. We're going to do new logic connection, entered, player, any, and we're going to use our time delayer here. We're going to do start delay. Now this time we want it to be as short as possible, so we're going to go in here and we're going to leave it at 1 second, and that's exactly what we want. So now we're also going to do a new logic connection from that, and we're going to do delay completed, and we're going to tell Carl here to admire. Play once, admire. So now what should happen is once we lead him this close to the trigger area, he will stop following us, the time delayer will kick off, and then it will basically almost force him to use that cauldron. If you place your trigger area and have it set up, everything just set so you can get this to happen almost every time. So we need to do one more connection. And that is an actual logic connection to make Carl follow us. And a different way to do that is to actually highlight the room, entered, player, any, and again you can assign it to specific players if you want. And we're going to tell it to have Carl follow us. So now when we enter this room, Carl will follow us. So we entered this interior, we said hi to Carl, we come in here and we notice that hey, there's a locked door here. We need that open. Well, here comes Carl to follow us. Now we could also have added a text creator here and had it say, "Oh, I can get that door for you," but let's go up here and watch, and this should hopefully work. So we got this up here, and the delayer should start, and now he should go over to the admire, and there he goes. Oh, is he gonna do it? He will do it. There he goes. Aha! Boom! And we have an open door. I better not stay in there because he might re-trigger the door. And there you go. It works 99% of the time. And again, I'm pulling that statistic out of thin air, but I've done it, and I will say that I can honestly say that just about 9 times out of 10 I can get that to trigger off. Again, it's all about how you have it set up. You have to have the trigger area just so, and you want to have the townsperson to be as close to that object you want them to interact with as possible. And now he'll go back to his default behavior of just wandering around. If we leave the room, he'll just stay there and wander around like any other town person does. And there he goes, interacting with the cauldron again. But that's one way to get it to happen. So for this example, we can pretend that we could have used different walls here, and we could have pretended this was a dungeon, and we had a friend stuck in the dungeon there, and you know, it could have been locked, and he could have been the warden, and he could have unlocked the gate for us. So that's just another example of what you can do. And again, you're going to see the fact that the townspeople will not follow you. So when I leave here, he will come out, and you'll see that he no longer has followed us. And we're back. And as you can see, Carl did not follow us through the door, and the Mad Hatter is back where we left him, where he stood outside the door waiting for us. We have 2 final examples of things we can do with townspeople. One is with the friend generator. This applies to enemy generators or wave generators. We can spawn townspeople in with locators as well. So, you know, we have more options for bringing town people into our environment. So what we're going to do is we need to bring up, go into our logic toys here real fast, and we're going to grab ourselves a locator, and we're going to pop it down right over here, and we're just going to make a quick location connection from the friend generator. New locator connection. Grab this locator, make our connection, and then we are going to just make a connection from this button to the friend generator. And again, this could be applied to a friend wave generator as well. And as you can see, you got a ton of options here. And we're just going to do a random. We're going to do a random townsperson, and that's it. And once we press it, it'll bring our townsperson into the game. And it brought in Cusco. Alright. I like Cusco. It brought Cusco in. And again, this way you can spawn characters in using locators in any place you want in the game. So it's another nice way to bring townspeople into your environment. And the very last example we're going to do here is we're going to show you how townspeople can actually be targets of cameras. With the target camera here, if you go into its properties, and you go all the way down to camera target, you can have this set to anything from the players themselves, connected locator, and in this instance we're going to use triggering actor. An actor can be anything from a townsperson to even a physics ball. It's whatever that actor, whatever that object is that triggered the camera, that's what the camera will lock onto and follow, because we have the camera type as follow. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use Periwinkle here as our prime example. And how we're going to do this is, let's first drop her on there. Let's grab her. She's already told to stand still, so we're going to grab her and drop her on this spinning platform here. There we go. So now she's on this platform, and we're going to target this trigger area. We're going to do new logic connection, entered, AI, and we're going to do friend, and now we'll tell that to trigger the camera. Activate, and there you go. And as you can see, she went through the trigger area, and now the camera will continue to follow her as long as she continues to move around. You can obviously set up this type of camera target any way you want. It doesn't. I just used a spinner just for something for fun. But this would help. Ugh, make me dizzy. This would help if you want to make even a cutscene. You can use several townspeople and have the camera focus on one townsperson, and it could really look like a cutscene. Add some text generator, and you got yourself a cutscene. No voiceovers, but still, it works. I've used it before. And that should wrap up our town. We have all kinds of stuff going on back there. That should wrap up our townsperson video. These are just several examples of what you can do with them. I hope it helped. I hope you enjoyed it. And in part 2, which should be up in a day or two, we will cover sidekicks. And there's a lot to go over with sidekicks. You can have an absolute ton of fun with sidekicks. All right, until then, take care. Bye-bye.